Good evening. It's Wednesday evening, and I'm just finished up for the day. It's about 9:30, so it's just more or less getting dark now. It just is dark. Um, yeah, just this video is kind of just to show that things don't always go according to plan on a farm, and usually when they start to go wrong, you could have two or three things that'll go wrong all at once, probably in the one day, probably within an hour, and that's farming for you. It started off yesterday morning with this girl here. She's a second time calver. Calved last year on her own, out of the same bull. And this year, as you can see by our side, we've had some issues. Yesterday morning at 7 o'clock, there was feet and a nose sticking out. Not very foul. Had been no sign of any activity the night before at around 11:30, 12. So we were fairly surprised to see our calving. Put her in the calving gate, hand in, straight away knew that the calf wasn't going to come out. We attempted to put the jack on and applied a little pressure and just seen there was nothing happening. So released it and tried to get a vet. Couldn't get a vet then, took it over an hour for a vet to come. And eventually we got the vet and took her out on the side. Calf was alive initially, but died a few minutes later, 10 minutes later. He was dead. Couldn't be saved. She had been calving for a couple of hours. The calf's head was a little bit swollen, but he was a monster of a calf. There was no way she was ever going to have him. So disappointing start to the day. We haven't had many casualties this year, but that's one of them. That's actually the second casualty we've had. So, disappointing. We had another cow calved then yesterday evening, and everything okay with her. She's her and her calf are outside. But there's now 3 that have calved in the last couple of weeks of the ones that's left. But I will get a little bit of footage of those later in the week. I just haven't had time to get out. There was some people asked to see the new foal that was born, the Irish Draft foal, and she's actually, the mare and foal is out with the cows and calves down at the bottom of the yard here, but I just haven't got out to check them. So hopefully I will later in the week. So that was how the day started yesterday. Then the second thing that happened was that this girl here, who is an absolutely fantastic calf, this is one of her own homebred. She was a heifer. This is our third calf, one of our own heifers that was born on the farm, and it's our third calf now. So, beautiful calf, great shape, great depth, great length to him. And yesterday he was sick. He had an ear down, an eye partially closed, and more than likely down to the cold weather we're getting at night. Maybe he lay out a little bit from a sheltered area along the ditch. Maybe lay out in the middle of the field and got a chill. I'd say it's most likely what it is. Like, the weather is so unusual for the time of year. It's so cold. Haven't had much rain, but it's very windy and very cold. During the day, it could be quite mild. Some of the days were mild, some were very cold. Some of the days it nearly feels like it's November rather than May, and it's hard for young cattle, this year's calves, to stay right, to stop themselves from getting sick with the way the weather is. Even see it on some of our older bulls that are all over 12 months, and these would be animals we'd be hoping to put in towards just maybe in the midsummer for finishing. So, like, even when you see them that they're not settled, it's because of the weather. If the weather warmed up a little, they'd settle down. You can see the issues that you can have with them. But yeah, we got the calf in eventually, treated him, and he is well improved now, thankfully. But he will be in for the next few days. We'll keep him on antibiotics just to help him through. And but he's well improved, and he's drinking the cow out. Every time he come in, he's drinking on her. So yeah, that was two of the things that happened yesterday. Then we also had our new bull. This is the bull we picked up in Kerry back a couple of months ago. He is fairly young, so we never intended him to be going with that awfully many cows. We put him with 5 cows. It's 5 of the smaller cows, quieter cows, and hoping that he'd be able to bull those. And then later in the year, maybe put him with a few heifers as well. We're going to put maybe 5 or 6 heifers with him as well, of the best heifers that was born last year. So this was kind of what we had in our mind from. But last few days, he was starting to... You see him, he wasn't walking with the cows or with the cows, and he was very stiff of himself in walking. So we've ended up, we had to take him in yesterday as well. What it looks like is that he's got some bit of a hurt, maybe jumping on one of the cows, and maybe one of them kicked or bucked or moved in the wrong direction and maybe fell back, and he's given himself a little bit of a hurt or a twist in his back, it looks like. So he's up and moving much better than he was yesterday. We have him now on an anti-inflammatory and a painkiller, so he is improved on what he was. But he's not going to be with any cows for a while now, which is it's okay. We have sourced another bull. We have a limousine bull now running with those 5 cows, and any of the cows now that's left to calve, those 3 that are out in the field grazing down the bottom, they'll be getting with that bull now as well. So yeah, he'll have a quiet enough time for the next couple of months, and we might still put those 5 heifers with him if he makes a full recovery, or if he's okay in a couple of months. We'll put the 5 heifers with him, and he can maybe bull those. So we'll have to ease him into it a little bit gently now, just with the injury. But it's kind of unfortunate. You can see he is sulking a little bit with it, but look, you go in and put him up, and he'll move around. He's moving a lot better than he was anyway, so he is slightly improved. So yeah, so that kind of just shows that things don't always go right on farms. They never do, and you always have these issues. So that's really it. I don't know what I'm at tomorrow. I'll try and get some more footage. Might be actually drawing some stone from a quarry tomorrow. So if I'm doing that, I'll take a bit of footage of that. And so it'll be something different. Didn't get any spraying done. It was too windy, and we had a little bit of rain and windy over the weekend. And even in the early part of the week, it's been too windy for spraying. So that still has to be done. Hopefully maybe get some of that done later in the week, over the weekend maybe, and we'll see how we get on. But that's it for now. As always, thanks for subscribing. A lot of new subscribers over the last week or so. Thanks for subscribing, everybody. If you're not a subscriber, hit subscribe. It doesn't cost anything, by the way. All it does is just give you a notification every time I post a video. That's it. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.